Hey everybody, Dr. Karen here. And look, I am excited because when you see this red background behind me, I have somebody in the house. And look, we got a man in the house today. So we are excited, excited, excited. We here at Sister Leaders love our male sponsors, our male ambassadors, our male cheerleaders. And so we're going to learn all about Matthew Anderson. Matthew Anderson, welcome to the Sister Leaders Podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Karen. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate the invite, and I look forward to enjoying our next few moments together.
Absolutely, because we're going to get all in your business, because y'all know I got questions. I never get to all my questions, but we're going to know more about Matthew than you know now. So we're going to know a lot about him as a professional and, a little bit about his why. And so, Matthew, to get us started, why don't you talk about a little bit about who you are and who you serve?
Okay. Well, you already introduced me. What I do, I'm a biochemist by education and training, Dr. Karen, and I've been in the healthcare space for about 36 years in total. And so the clients that I serve have been executives from C-suite by way of corporate training, and also manufacturing personnel, warehouse personnel, anyone that has responsibility for manufacturing a quality product. It could be Isomil, Similac from back in the day, Ensure, Pedialyte. I worked on all those products, all the way to Humira, to medical device manufacturing. And so I serve all the corporate clientele that's involved in manufacturing, also leadership and change management personnel as well.
Oh, love that, love that. And so let's talk about maybe what's behind your journey. So what generally when people get into an industry, they experience a pain point, they have a love for it or someone around them. So can you tell us a little bit about what is the story behind your journey into healthcare and quality and regulatory leadership?
Quite simple. My intention when I came out while I was in college was to go to medical school, and so that started my journey because I really wanted to be a doctor. But growing up in the South in hard times, I became a young man at an early age, probably like 8 years old, when my parents were divorced, and so I had to help out at home. And so it was a pretty much a dream delayed, but it wasn't deferred because I've been working in healthcare for 36 years across all sectors of healthcare, and primarily in the manufacturing side in pharmaceuticals, as I'd mentioned, and also in the legal side of the world to make sure that anything that's manufactured in the United States and abroad is safe and effective for the public to use.
I love that. So, do you have any defining lessons that experience taught you about leadership in your 36 years that you can share with us?
Absolutely. The very first thing for me is learning how to listen. What I've discovered over the course of my career is that people wait for you to finish talking, and they call that listening. Listening is being still in the moment and hearing what, in my estimation, what people are truly saying. And it's not always physically what comes out of the mouth, the voice that comes out of the mouth, but it's also the body language. So you can tell if somebody's really paying attention to what you have to say. So listening is the very, very first thing for me that I've learned to hone that skill over the course of my life, not only in corporate, but just over the course of my life.
I love that. And that segues into my next question because it was like, what is your leadership philosophy? Your leadership philosophy centers around listen, learn, and leverage. So, can you speak to the learn and leverage part? You talked about the listen part. What about the learn and leverage part? And
So,
what do they mean in practice?
Listening, you got that part. The learning piece is being still in the moment and understanding what the moment is teaching you. And because all the time when you listen to something, what you're trying to convey is not what's being received. And that's why communication is a two-way street. And so I stay in the moment and I learn what someone is saying. And so after I learn what someone is saying, one of my key things in leadership is understand the condition before you state your position. And you cannot do that unless you're learning what someone is conveying to you. So understand the condition before you state your position, and that's what I've practiced throughout my career before I opened my mouth to speak. As my grandmother told me, she said, "Son, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason." so you can listen twice as much as you speak. And that has been really, really paramount in my career and also just in my life as God has blessed me to walk.
I love that. I think many of us have heard some version of that whole listen more than you speak type philosophy, and it serves us well.
Mhm.
So, how did you discover that leadership is not simply about a title, but about who you are becoming? Tell us about that.
So that's a great question. And for me, it's really it boils down to people. It boils down to understanding self, and leadership to me is very, very selfless. People get to your point about titles. I don't care. I've seen leaders from the bottom of the basement to the top of the building, and they don't have a title, but they've learned to listen, they've learned to learn, and they learn to leverage. And so for me, as I look at this, it's about being selfless and giving yourself to help somebody to help become who they're designed to be. And that's how what has worked for me, Dr. Karen.
I love that. And so, when you talk about those different roles, you've held roles from scientist to director in quality and regulatory affairs. How did each stage of your career kind of shape your leadership identity?
Well, you know what happened for me? I was blessed to be able to work outside of the United States of America for a number of years in totality, from Israel to China to France to the Netherlands. I've been all over the world and teaching and coaching and guiding people through compliance and also leadership training. And I've been in different cultures, monolithic cultures, and so what I've learned is that people are the same everywhere. They want to be heard. They want to feel like you care about them, and they want to be able to have someone that is a voice for them that will listen to them and bring something back to them. People want to know that you care, and when they find out that you care about them, they will do anything for you. And that's what I've employed my entire life.
I love that. I love that. Let's talk about maybe we talked about what you've learned. Let's talk about maybe what you have unlearned. And so, what did you unlearn as you moved from being an individual contributor to leading people and systems?
What I earned, wow, that's amazing. What I unlearned, hmm, that's deep. What I learned is that I don't always have the right answer. Even though I'm in a leadership position, it is about, um, I've discovered that it's been really about trust. It's about integrity. When you have a team, you have to show them that you believe in them. And part of that comes through delegation, right? And checking in, not putting my thumb anywhere on them or my foot anywhere. It's just about I trust you to do it. You understand the mission, what we're trying to get done. It's just that respect between people and groups of people that trying to achieve the same goal. And as a leader, we have to bring the level that cohesiveness for them to be able to help to achieve the results that the organization is trying to achieve.
I like that. And you talked about your global work. So, how has global leadership changed the way you actually lead teams, or has it changed the way you lead teams since you've worked all over the world?
But it really hasn't changed for me a great deal because the foundation for me in leadership and what I've seen around the world, it's the same. It starts with knowing who you are, meaning personally, who is Matthew Anderson? And if I don't know who I am, how can someone expect me to lead some other people? Because times change all the time, right? Times change, the circumstances in the world change, but people are who they are. And the conditions that we go through, it's still the same baseline. I call it a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We all have the same need. I don't care what culture that you're in. And what I have to do, or what I have done as a leader, is understand what the baseline is around the world. And I cater to that because we have some goals and a mission to accomplish. And when I understand it, then we can move forward with no problem.
I love that. I love that. So you talked about really the similarities, around you working around the world and teams. What about cultural differences? What cultural differences have taught you the most about communication, collaboration, and trust, or is there any difference globally?
Yes, I mentioned that I worked in a monolithic culture. I
Hmm.
was in China for a period of time, and I was the only black man and black person that I saw for about 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And I had to go into a facility with a totally different culture, communication style. And what I learned is that less is more in that culture compared to a United States culture. And here's what I mean by less being more. The mission is on the wall, the goals are on the wall, the direction is on the wall, and it's either yes or it's no. There's not a lot of conversation between that. So when I, come back across the water, if you will, to the United States, there's going to be a whole lot of discussion about in between the yes and the no, right? In that particular culture, I learned that here's what we're here to do. Here's our current state. Here's our desired state. Here's a gap. And in between that, did we make it? Yes or no? We need to tweak it? Yes or no? Is it right? Yes or no? Do we need to make a modification? Yes or no? Has a modification been made? Yes or no? Yes, it has. Let's move forward.
Wow, this it sounds like the experience taught you how to keep your eye on the goal and not get sidelined.
That's correct.
Awesome. So you had um mentioned something that kind of triggered my thinking. And I thought about the word authentic. So how do leaders remain authentic while adapting to different cultures, leadership styles, and business environments? If it was yes and no, how did Matthew still be Matthew in a monolithic culture?
One word, prayer. And I really, really mean that. Having to go to another country with no prior, what I want to say, education, no prior grooming, no prior preparation, no prior proper planning, and all of that. I had to go, I went on faith, and I knew what the mission was, what I had to do, and the culture, just the people. And we're all one people. If you understand what I'm saying, we're all one people under this on this earth that we live in. And so I went there on faith, and I knew that I could do the job. It was just a matter of dealing with the people and being in a culture that they're not used to seeing someone me in a leadership role like I was in. And so that's all that I could give you on that. It's really with just prayer and faith alone that guided me through that experience.
Awesome. So you've led quality management systems for organizations such as Philips, Stryker, GE Healthcare, Abbott Laboratories, and St. Jude Medical. What does excellence look like in highly regulated environments such as those?
Excellence. The patient gets what he or she needs right, on time and right the first time, consistently. That's what excellence is. Bottom line,
Right the first time, no
on
room for
time.
error. No room for error.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. And very concise. My next question is you've navigated FDA warning letters, consent decrees, various inspections. What leadership behaviors are required when an organization is really under pressure, under those type of pressures?
The number one leadership requirement when you're under that kind of pressure is one, listening. I'm going to go back to that because that is a foundation. If you do not understand what the agency is saying to you when you're in that kind of situation, it's going to be very, very difficult at best for you to come out of that situation standing upright, if you will. And what I mean by that, given another opportunity to address that issue as it should have been addressed before. So listening, and really, I'm a biochemist by education and training, and the reason that I bring it up is because there's a technical capability that has to be present, and they have to feel confident that you know what you're doing if they're going to listen to you first, right? And so what I did was I prided myself in knowing my craft and then also being able to effectively communicate, what the situation was, also to understand what they were saying to me, and then how does this manifest itself in the organization? And so being able to convey that back.
I love that. So rarely do we work individually. Usually we're part of some type of team, whether it's a centralized team or not a centralized situation. But usually our actions are dependent on someone else's actions, and it's all part of an organizational goal. And so when you think about teams, what role does accountability play in building high performing teams, since we all depend on one another in order to reach the top goal?
So accountability, uh, absolutely paramount. I've been on teams where people were just part of the team. I've had people say, "I'm going to do my 8 and skate and get out of here,"
Yeah,
right? And I've witnessed that to people that were so committed to the end goal. So that accountability piece, let me put it to you this way, Dr. Karen. When we're winning as a team and it's time to go get the awards or it's time for you to get your bonus, everybody shows up. Everybody shows up for the accolade, but they do not see what goes on behind the scene for that goal or for that award or reward to be manifested. They don't do that. And so that accountability piece, when people know what they're responsible for and they really take ownership of it, then and only then can you have success in the organization because you can't carry dead weight for long because it gets too heavy.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So how do you hold people accountable without creating a culture of fear?
Oh, that's the easy part for me. I thank God for it. It's a matter of having a conversation. I've taken the time to learn who is on my team by way of just personal life, family, just getting to know the people that I'm working with, and I work for them just as well as they work for me and the teams that I've had. And just because I have a title or XYZ, I don't walk around with that. It's about understanding what humbleness is, understanding that we're in this thing together and taking the time to understand who they are just as well as we know what they have to do, which is really, really critical. And I've seen some leaders do that extremely well, and I've seen others not do it so well.
So for those who don't do it well, I'm assuming there's some type of warning signs. So, what are the warning signs that a team, department, or organization may be losing its focus on quality, which may impact our ability to achieve our goals?
Two things I've seen, and I've witnessed this, and it's detrimental. Innovation, I love innovation. AI is out there in the world, right? And with innovation is speed. And when you work in a regulatory climate or environment, the agencies haven't caught up to the speed in which innovation is moved, or it is moving. And so sometimes you'll see organizations say, "Can we cut the corner here or there? Can we do this a little faster?" And I said, "Here are the rules. Here's the law. I can't cut the corner." And so what I've seen is that when you can explain the how should I put this? When you can explain the importance of speed and also the importance of quality that's associated with it, and people understand that, it makes it a little easier for traction to be gained. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So, what advice would you give leaders who are responsible for fixing systems that they didn't create? So, you walk into a situation and there's some cracks. What advice would you give that new leader?
Where do you want me to start? The presidential part, where do you want me to start? So if I inherited, I'll use myself as an example. And I've been in situations like that. If I've inherited a situation that's not really advantageous for me coming in the door, tell you the first thing that I do not do. and do not point fingers. I was hired to fix a problem, to address an issue, to lead a team. What I would encourage people to do is what I teach a lot is understanding the current state, being able to effectively assess where you are right now. What is it going to take for us to climb up out of this situation that we're in right now to ultimately get to the desired state? And so, really, it's really an audit. It's an internal audit of the systems as they're working right now, and really documenting that and saying, here's where we stand right now, team, leadership, whoever it may be. And here's what we're going to need to do to the things we need to do to get out of here to close the gap so we can reach the desired state. And I start with this really a true analysis of where we are right now and not blaming anybody. I mean, we're all human. We're going to make mistakes, but it's not about pointing fingers because you have what four other ones pointing at you, three other ones pointing at you, plus a thumb, right?
I like that. So when I hear you talk, I think about, you say assessment, but why do so many capable leaders and people struggle to recognize their own leadership potential?
Why do they struggle to recognize it?
Yes.
Mm. I tell you what I've discovered over the course of my time. Some of the leaders that I've dealt with in the C-suite, they think they have all the answers when they walk into the door. And they're going to move their ship the way they want to move their ship, how they want to move their ship, when they want to move their ship. And if you're not on board, then you can get off the ship, right? And so, and the other thing that I've discovered, oftentimes, and what I've seen is this: people are not true to themselves, right? You may perceive yourself to be one way, and you get some constructive feedback to say, or 360 if you want to go there, a 360 degree assessment, and you're a totally different person than what you think that you drive in and leave out of that office every day. And that's a tough pill to swallow for an executive to see what their real truth is, right?
Yeah.
And when they discover what their real truth is, if they're humble enough and conscientious enough, they will make some changes because the success of the organization hinges on the people that you're leading, as well as the leadership capability that you brought to the table.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about becoming, because I came across that word in my research of you. What does becoming mean to you, both professionally and personally?
Becoming professionally for me, uh, it's about transformation in cultures, right? We can be a doctor, we can be a therapist, we can be these things, get these titles, but becoming is a state. It's a progression. You don't become overnight. You're gonna bump your head here and there, right? You're gonna see what your lessons learned that you have, and what the hurdles that God put in front of you. And sometimes you're gonna run into some of those hurdles. And so, but becoming is a progression. It is a journey to allow you to help transform other people. And that's the only reason I believe, Dr. Karen, that we're here. It's not about the money. The money can be a conduit to bring about the change that you see. You can bring about change. Money allows you to bring about the transformation in somebody's life. I'll give you an example. I walk downtown. I live downtown Orlando, and there are so many homeless people and things that live there. I have a conversation with them. They say, "Hey, brother, can you get me something to eat?" Absolutely, I can. And that spurs a conversation because if you feed them first, they'll talk to you, right? And so that's what it's about for me professionally as well. Because when I go out there to do that, and it mirrors into my personal side of my life, I know that God has me on a mission. And becoming is what He would have me to be. You understand?
I like that. I like that. I like
Right.
that.
And that's what it is for me. This world is not about me and what I bring to the table. It's for me to share outwardly, not for me to keep inwardly.
I got it. I got it. And that is a good segue. because my next question I want to talk to you. I believe, if my notes are correct, you are a certified spiritual director. And so, how has your faith informed the way you lead, serve, and make decisions? I think you just kind of moved into that a little bit, but do you want to expound on that?
Oh yeah, getting the certification as a spiritual director, it just honed what God has already blessed me, and it was a journey. Excuse me, it was a journey for me, because you remember Jonah in the belly of the whale. He was always running, right? And so, I think I've experienced that, quite some time in my life. And so, for me, I can no longer run and keep what I've been blessed to give. And that is simple as I can put it, as truthful as I can be. I don't have any more words, beyond that. I'm just doing what God would have me to do.
Okay, okay. Why is inner work essential for leaders who want to create lasting impact?
You said inner work,
Yes.
looking inside of yourself, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah,
Working on, yes, absolutely.
yeah. That's a great question. I think I alluded to it a little bit earlier about understanding who you are. If you don't understand who you are, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to lead a mass of people, even one person for that matter. And so, the thing for me, the inner work is very, very critical because you get to discover what your internal constitution is. And a lot of us, we stray from that North Star and we lose our
Mhm.
internal constitution, right? That makes us do things that are out of the ordinary, or you follow your own behavior and you do like you want to do or how you think it should be done. And we don't. Ice Cube said it best. And I think people will know you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Right?
Absolutely. And that's kind of hard when you're in the midst of it, though. It's kind of hard, but
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely.
So let's talk about Matthew the speaker. So you're a keynote speaker and a student of Service and Speaking Mastery Program. What makes speaking a service rather than simply a performance?
So what? I'm so glad I met you when we were there. This is the first time you and I crossed paths ever, and we were in Danbury, Connecticut in April. And so for me, service, versus a performance, uh, it's so necessary. And to speak up, and when God has blessed you with something, you got to put it out there, Dr. Karen. And I know I've had it ever since I was a little boy. And my family used to call me an old man at 5 or 6 years old. So you're a little old man. And how do you know so much stuff, And for me, um, it's I must do that. I've been quiet for too long.
Okay.
Yes. So this is something this is a mandate on my life to do it. And I
Okay.
love it. And I can see the impact and influence that it's having on people already.
So what message do you feel most called to deliver, to maybe leaders and entrepreneurs and professionals? What type of message do you feel most called to deliver to them?
The message is transformation. The message is impartation. And those are the two biggest things. How do we transform our life? How do we transform a situation? How do we transform a process? How do we transform your life? And that's what it is for me when it comes to that. And then the impartation piece, you can train and do impartation that way, but how do you know someone really gets it, right? And how do you know it's
Hmm.
sticking with them? And that's what I believe. And I don't care what sector they're in. I don't care where they are. Leadership is leadership across the board. I don't care if you're the president of the United States or you're a college student or someone that's in middle school, high school, that same leadership and that same transformation, they're going to go through it in their life. And I can tell you right now, the internet is causing so much impartation and transformation more so than households are creating today.
Wow. So explain that statement to me. Why do you believe the internet is causing more than in our own homes?
The reason being is for me, the amount of access that children spend with their heads bending down, the amount of access, the volume of information that they're getting, the level of communication that they can have around the world instantaneously, right? The world has never seen anything that fast, that influential, that dynamic, and also that costly, all in the same package.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we are about to wrap up. I am enjoying this conversation. I got a few more questions, and then I want you to tell the Sister Leaders community how they can stay in contact with you. So let's talk about recognition because you received the Vision Award for Leadership and Community Influence. So, what does legacy mean to you at this stage of your life and career?
Legacy, what does it mean to me? Hmm. No one's ever asked me that question. So I thank you for that. Legacy for me is boils down to uh, really what does people say about Matthew Anderson once he's gone? And I'll give you a classic example of what I mean. You know, Dr. King was a minister, prolific minister, civil rights leader. But when you see things written about him, it's not about good Reverend Dr. King. People may say that in speeches and things of that nature. But he said, I want to be remembered as a drum major for justice. And when God takes me away from this place, I want to be the one to be remembered as someone that cared about people in their life. And I did something about it to show them that I did care.
I love that. So my final question is as you prepare to share your message in October with the Sister Leaders Conference audience, what do you hope every attendee walks away believing about themselves?
I'm going to give you a sneak peek, right? I'll share with you. I'm giving a sneak peek, and I'll save the rest of it for October. I'm going to give you a word, Kufa. You might want to write it down. Cufa. Okay. And what that means is that as sister leaders, I know some of the challenges. I know a lot of the challenges that sisters face in the world that they're working in, whether it's in the corporate boardroom all the way to ownership to just getting started. And one thing that I've seen, even for myself, you go in the room, you don't see anyone that looks like you, right? And they'll say, you need mentorship. I said, no, not at this stage in my career. I need sponsorship. I want somebody to speak my name when I'm not in the room, right? That's what we need. And in the absence of, you don't know when those things are happening until somebody touches you, say, let me talk to you for a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Kufa is courage under fire all the time. Courage under fire all the time.
I like that.
And that should align with your theme in October as well.
But that's not an easy task though. That's not an easy task to keep
No,
that courage going.
no, it's not easy, Dr. Karen, and I tell you this, and I look at you as a prime example. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And because it's not easy, you stand out doing it.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Courage under fire all the time. So you will hear more about that. So this has been wonderful. I just love knowing more about you, Matthew. Why don't you tell the Sister Leaders community how they can stay in contact with you, connected with you, talk about anything that you got going on out there, books, framework. If you're going to be speaking somewhere before October, share that as well.
The easiest way to reach me is m.a.leadingtheway.com. Excuse me, leadingtheway at gmail.com.
Okay.
m.a.leadingtheway at gmail.com.
All right. All right. That is wonderful. So look, you're going to hear more from Matthew because I believe in individuals sharing their talents way before they hit the stage in October. And so, of course, this is just the beginning of our beautiful relationship. And so, you're going to hear more from Matthew, but I will be remiss if I didn't do my little 30-second commercial for the conference so my people won't hit me in the head. So, of course, you will see the wonderful Matthew and other speakers on October 2nd and 3rd at the Rivers Casino. Yes, we are going back to the casino in Portsmouth, Virginia. I am excited. I hope you are excited. And we'll be there October 2nd and 3rd, which is another Friday and another Saturday. We're going to be there all day and we're going to be networking. We're going to be talking about leadership. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. We're going to be talking about mental health, emotional health, technical skills, soft skills, the whole leader, not a partial leader, but the whole leader, because it's all interconnected. And so we'll have speakers who speak to all of those parts of your life. And so I'm excited. It's going to be men and women because we can't do this alone. We can't, and they're not going to let us do this alone anyway. So it's going to always be some men in the house. And so it is a joint effort, which I love. I love working with our male allies and our male sponsors and our male leaders because look, leadership is not gender specific anyway.
Correct.
Truth be told, if you had a male leader who was successful, if you copied a lot of the technical stuff that they did, you too probably will be the best version of you. Because it is not gender specific. And so the website is sisterleadersconference.com. We are updating the website now, so I hope to have that, all of the 2026 stuff up there soon. And so and look, we're still looking for speakers like the great Matthew. We're still looking for speakers. So if you have a lane of brilliance, area expertise, then reach out to me at admin at drkarenhillsprudent.com so that I can interview you because we got a couple of more slots that are available for speakers as well. And so I'm not going to hold you long. This has been wonderful. Connect with Matthew so you can keep abreast of what he has going on. And until we speak again, good night.
Good night. Thank you so much.